Look at us matching today.
Twinning.
We didn't even plan that, did we? I don't know about you, but my house is wet.
It's wet and cold here.
I got to make some alternate plans for Valentine's Day because I don't believe I'm going to be able to plant any taters.
It's wet. You know, we was just thinking this morning, a lot of people's going to be behind on the tater planting this time.
I'm fine with it. I rushed it last year, and so I feel at peace with it this year.
Yeah, but don't get upset if you're a little behind. I mean, you got plenty of time. You all out there, don't get upset. Just play by the rules, and you got a couple weeks extra there that you can plant. I plant mine in February several years, and they work out fine.
What I am going to do is I should have did it yesterday, but I am going to, after this, if I get a little break after this rain spell today, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put a tarp on my tater plot. Because I was looking at the forecast and it looks like it could rain every day for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And the trouble is you done got your wife all pumped up about y'all was going to plant taters on Valentine's Day, and now what you going to do?
Yes, just sure disappointment.
You know what you could do? You could binge watch the Row by Row show with her.
Yeah,
I bet she'd enjoy that.
Could, we have a potato playlist. You could binge watch videos about planting taters.
Honey, come sit down here.
Yeah, let's watch.
Yeah, let's watch this right here and hold hands and
Imagine we're planting taters.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be good. That's what you should do.
Yeah, I've got some videos about cutting up taters.
Yeah.
And planting taters. You could
right.
You could spend a good hour there, just romantic time.
Yeah, and if you get stumped, start talking about carrots.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love to talk about carrots. We talk about carrots for hours.
Yeah. Speaking of carrots, I got my fermented carrots here that me and Tata made, and on 2 different batches. This is
It's got some odor to it.
It's that dill in there, right there. But
it's like seaweed, but it's dill.
Yeah, I took the pickle pebble out of there and just took the pickle pipe off, put them in the fridge. Now, when I did these, the other jar I didn't slice them like this. I just cut them in chunks, but I do think they do better if you cut them in some fairly uniform.
I hope they taste better than they smell. Rather crunchy.
That's pretty good, man. It tastes like a dill carrot. Little dill garlic carrot.
That'd be good on a salad right there, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. A cracker.
Cracker.
Be good on a little charcuterie board, maybe.
Charcuterie?
Yeah.
What's a charcuterie?
Yeah. That's like you go to the fancy place to get the meat and the cheese on the board. They call it charcuterie.
Evidently, I've never been to one of them fancy places.
Yeah. Them turned out all right.
They are nice.
You know what I think I'm going to try next? Them all-top turnips I got, which I've been eating a bunch of. Some of them have made big old roots, and I'm not really a big fan of turnip roots. But somebody suggested I should ferment some of them. So I think I'm going to take a few of those, sliver them up, add some carrots in there, and pull a few of my onions that ain't quite there, and make me a little onion, turnip, carrot fermented medley. I'm going to give that a try.
Now, I think you might could back off the deal just a hair there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know how much...
well, you got enough.
It's hard to tell with fresh herbs there. You think it's a little too dilly?
It's a little too dilly. I mean, it's good, but I thought you could back off that just a hair.
I think they turned out pretty good. You want a piece of dill?
No, I'm good.
Fermenting, that's my new...
That's your new game?
That's my new game. Good for you. Keep all your innards straightened out. Get some good biological activity down there. Keep everything good straightened out. Yeah, that's my new game.
So let's talk about the Row by Row Facebook group. We have set up some new rules for people joining the Facebook group.
Well, we haven't set rules yet. We're going to.
Well, they got to answer these questions before they...
Yeah. So, a couple things to mention about our Row by Row group on Facebook, which if you haven't joined, it's facebook.com/group/Row by Row. So, we used to didn't have this, but now if a new person joins the group or you invite somebody to join the group, they have to answer a few basic questions. I don't think the questions are mandatory. Some people skip them. But these
No, they're mandatory. What it does is it lets us know if they're serious or not.
That's right. Because what happens is people from overseas or whatever will try to hijack your groups, and they'll try.
And we didn't realize this till somebody brought it to our attention about groups. So we started setting up these questions to find out if they're serious or not.
Right, and so you can tell by the answers. The hijackers always have the same answers. It says something like. One of the questions says, what's your favorite crop to grow in the garden? They always put, we play by the rules or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can pick them out pretty easy, but it's just kind of a screening process.
Because we don't want nobody in there sending you some direct messages trying to sell you some shoes or something like that. It ain't what it's about. So we're trying to keep the group pretty clean. And we ask 3 simple questions. How big is your garden? Where are you from? What state you from? And what's your favorite thing to grow in a garden? So if you can't answer those 3, you're in trouble anyway.
That's right.
So we look at those and we see where we approve them or not. And I have disapproved a few of them. A lot of these people, these scammers are from New Guinea and Indonesia and India and Pakistan. For some reason or other, most of the scammers from that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And you can catch them because they'll actually have a profile sometimes, which is an American name and American picture, but they can't, their English is not good enough they can answer them questions. What we have done is trick them.
We trick them.
And we find out and we just...
Now they may eventually trick us back, but for right now we got.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're just trying. If you are new to the group and you answer those questions, don't feel like it was a personal attack from you. That's what we're just trying.
We're not really compiling that data for any purposes whatsoever, other than just to screen our new group members.
Right.
It's working pretty good so far. One more thing about the group. We have had 1 or 2 issues where a group member, a new person to the group, has messaged me directly and said that they thought there was some level of the term bullying was used, which may be a little harsher term, but just people not being super nice on there. And just want to, everybody to keep in mind, in this group, which is a great group of people, we've got gardeners of all ages and all experience levels.
I'm going to be dipping some grits while you do that.
Okay, go ahead. Anyway, gardeners of all experience levels. So if somebody asks a question that you think everybody should know, that doesn't mean it's a silly question, because, we got beginner gardeners, people that have been doing it for a while. So just keep that in mind. Don't be rude to anybody. If they ask a question you think they should already know the answer for, or they ask about doing something you might consider to be silly, just be nice, be cordial about it. I am going to set up some rules to kind of give a basis for all this. And if someone reports someone as being rude or whatever, I'm not going to launch some long investigation there. I'll just, mute that person for like 14 days, and then it becomes a problem again. They get banned from the group. So don't do it. Don't do anything.
Banned. I don't want to get banned.
No, don't want to get banned. So don't do anything. Just be nice. Don't do anything that would get you in trouble, and you won't have any issues.
Don't say anything or type anything that your mama wouldn't be proud of.
That's right. So we got that. What you got right here?
Well, you go ahead. I'm setting up here, so I got some special. Let's talk about seeds out of stock, and then I'll let you in on what's going on here.
Okay. So a week or so ago, me and you were on a conference call, about 80 different people.
You and I.
We were on a Zoom call, about 80 different people in the seed industry.
Proper English.
That's right. You are the grammar police.
Yes, I am.
Anyway, we're on a call with a lot of people that are retailers and also suppliers in the seed industry whatsoever. And a lot of them, these people, we were talking about this, seed increase in seed demand and so forth. And a lot of the suppliers on there, they kind of didn't like the word shortage. Somebody said the word seed shortage, and they were all like, no, don't say that word. Don't say that word.
Bad word.
Bad word. And what they were actually explaining to all of us is that there really isn't a seed shortage. There may be 1 or 2 varieties that there weren't enough crop grown for it. And we're seeing this sometimes with biennial things like carrots. Carrots take 2 years to produce seeds. But for the most part, there's not really any seed shortage. What there is transportation delays. So what a lot of people don't understand is that the seed industry as a whole is an international trade.
That means all over the place.
All over the world. Now, so there are some seed companies out there that would like for you to believe that they're growing all these things themselves. But seeds that online retailers like us are carrying are grown all over the world, all different places. And getting those things from wherever they're grown here on big container ships,
Can be an issue.
Can be an issue. We've seen that with some of the bottom trays we bring in from England, some delays there. So it's not that there's a seed shortage, there's just been some big delays in being able to get stuff over here. And a lot of those seeds that come internationally have to go through some really rigorous testing to make sure they're not bringing any diseases or anything over here. Because of COVID, that testing is delayed, which delays everything. So don't freak out. It's not like when somebody says we're gonna run out of gas, and then you go to the gas station, everybody's lined up. There's not really such thing as a seed shortage this year. Just some delays in transportation, from what we have been told.
Glad we got that settled.
Okay.
So one thing I want to show everybody today is this beautiful corn right here. And this beautiful corn right here is called Jimmy Red corn. Now we just got some Jimmy Red corn in, and we're going to be getting some more in, and we was worried, but it looks like supply is going to be ample. Folks, this is one of my favorite varieties right here. Let's see, make sure everybody gets look how rich and red that is right there. Now this Jimmy Red corn is a landrace variety, or a landrace corn. I guess that's better to put it that way. That I originally said I thought was found off South Carolina, but actually it was found in the uplands of Georgia right after the Civil War. We have it here in the seed packs. We have it in several different sizes. We got it in seed packs all the way up. You can buy as much as you want. I think we got 50 pounds on the website, don't we?
I think so.
So you can buy what you want. We sell a lot of it. But this is an amazing corn for making grits and cornbread.
That's some of the best grits I've ever eaten.
Landrace means, you know what landrace means?
I do.
Landrace means it has been kept and grown in a particular area and been kept by farmers, seeds been kept by farmers generation by generation by generation. And some people believe, and I'm one of them, that this particular variety here is well suited, or has adapted to the environment where it was found at, which is parts of Georgia, South Carolina, anywhere in the South. It's been proven that it grows really well. It's an heirloom variety, been around for a long time, found right after the Civil War. That being said, it's known. Let's go ahead.
I was going to say it's really highly regarded by chefs in the Carolinas, but also other areas as being the best tasting field corn. And recently, we've seen a boom in talking to people. The kind of the craft beer thing had its own explosion. Now you're seeing a lot of these craft distilleries popping up. And we've had several customers who have bought a significant amount of this and growed it to make whiskey with. Evidently, it's good whiskey making corn. I don't know anything about making whiskey, but it's good for that.
We had a lot of people last year bought several 100 pounds to do that with. I want you to look at that bowl of grits right here. Now this, folks, right here, what we got is Jimmy Red grits. Look at the redness in there right there. Now that is some great stuff. First time I ate some was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, man, we're going to be millionaires. So
I usually like to put a big old pat of butter in mine, but that right there is pretty good. I don't think
that is pretty good. Also, here's some Jimmy Red corn bread. And I want you to look how dark it is in there. Well, the Jimmy Red corn is known for its nutty flavor and its aroma. Oh, it smells good. You can smell cornbread, you know it's good. The darkness of that right there, I don't know if it plays a trick on my mind or not, but that is just some awesome stuff. Best grits I've ever eaten, hands down.
That cornbread right here actually tastes like something.
It's got an earthy, grainy taste to it. It just really appeals to me, to my culinary distinction.
Yeah. So what you can do, and we're going to talk about sweet corn here in a minute. What you can do is when your frost allows, you're going to get your sweet corn in the ground. Go and plant your sweet corn first, get it off early. After your sweet corn gets about knee high, then if you got you another little plot set up, whatever, go in there and plant you some Jimmy red corn. And it's going to be later. You ain't got to worry about cross-pollinating. And the field corn in general is going to do better in the heat. It can take it a little bit. So
And take a little bit of dry side.
Get your sweet corn planted, then come in there with you some Jimmy red and make you some nice grits and cornbread, all that goodness. What else we got going?
I don't know. I'm carried away right here.
That's good stuff. A few new varieties here to talk about before we get into talking about sweet corn. So, first one here is a bush bean we've got. Now, we've got one called Momentum, which everybody knows I'm a big fan of. And of all the people I hear from on our row by row group and other forms of communication that grow the Momentum, they rave about it, how productive it is. That, along with the Jade, is probably our two most popular bush bean varieties. We got a new one here called Bronco. And from what I understand, this one is right up there with the Momentum as far as, it's a different breeder, than the Momentum, but it's right up there with the Momentum, and it's top pick type. So all the pods are grow on top of the plant there, real easy to pick. That's tender.
Yeah, that Bronco is well known for being real tender. One of the tenderest varieties of green beans.
Another one we got here is a slicing tomato. So this is a determinate slicer, and when we got that Mountain Vineyard, that grape tomato we raved about, this is one that we also tried in conjunction with that one. This is a determinate slicer, lots of good disease resistance, resistant to yellow leaf curl virus, which I tend to have some issues with from time to time. This one has the crimson gene, which means a real nice dark red color.
High in antioxidants.
Yeah. So really good disease-resistant, determinate slicer. I will be growing some of these.
Jolene, what a wonderful name for a tomato.
Jolene. Got some more giant sunflowers on the site. We'll be adding several more varieties soon. This one here is called Kong.
Not King Kong, just Kong.
Just Kong, not King Kong. And this one will produce just loads of foliage, and they say up to 10 blooms at a time. So all up and down the stalk, producing blooms. So
it's a branching sunflower. Excuse me. I agree. It's going everywhere. It's a branching sunflower.
Well, I won't say it's branching. It makes one giant big stalk, but lots of branches and flowers off the side.
I just said branches. Yeah. You said lots of branches.
Well, when you say branches,
it's a branching style sunflower.
Something like that. Something like that. Anyway, I'll tell you a good little idea to do with these giant sunflowers here. They're fun to grow. And there's one thing you can grow during the heat of summer when you may not be able to grow much else besides okra and sweet potatoes. Plant you some of these middle to end of summer, okay? And then at some point the bloom's gonna dry up, quit producing whatever. But those stalks are pretty thick and pretty hardy. So take those stalks, you leave them right there, and you come underneath them and you plant you some pole beans.
Oh, I showed them what I was eating there.
Yeah.
Look how dark it is.
That is good, ain't it?
Man.
So you got sunflowers in the summer and an automatic pole bean trellis
Well, how about
in the
that?
fall. Plant you some rattlesnake beans or something underneath there. Let them climb on those and dual purpose.
Yeah.
What else we got? Popcorn. So we added some new varieties of popcorn. We got this one here called South American popcorn. And this is an heirloom variety that is supposedly got butter built into it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It makes what they call a mushroom kernel. So when it pops, the kernels look like a mushroom. And good heirloom variety. I read some things that said some people would get close to a pound of popcorn per stalk.
That's a lot of popcorn trail.
Yep. I'm excited about growing some popcorn. And the last one here, which would be similar to your Jimmy Red, just a little more color variation, we've got this Indian flower corn. Now, some people think this is just ornamental corn, and they use it for decorating and such.
A lot of people do.
In the fall, and it works good for that. But it also makes really good cornmeal and grits. And with this, every ear is a little different because you got red, yellow, black, brown, all kind of different kernel colors.
But you could also grind it and make your cornmeal and grits. Although it would be hard pressed to beat the Jimmy Red. I do, and I've never tried it.
So what you can do with this is you can, excuse me,
That cornbread cooking whooping on you, ain't
I
it?
brought some water. You can take this and use it for decorative purposes, and then when you're done decorating with it, you can shell it and then eat it.
Or feed it to the chickens.
Or feed it to the chickens. Okay, let me get me one more bite of grits. We're gonna talk about sweet corn today.
Yes, we are.
Man, that's good right here. I need me some eggs.
No, you don't.
3 eggs.
That's it. That's a full meal right
and
there.
some bacon. I got to figure out where I'm gonna put all my stuff in. Okay, so we have added a lot of varieties of sweet corn over the last few months, and different types of sweet corn, all different stuff. So today, we're not going to necessarily talk about how to grow sweet corn. We will cover that in a future episode. But I want to go over the differences between all these varieties, the difference in the genes between all these corns, and why you might want to grow one over the other, which ones you can grow together, which ones you need to isolate, kind of getting the nitty gritty, all that. How about that?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So let's start off here. Let me get me some cards out here.
I
And
knew you was gonna bring the cards back out. I'd have bought another bowl of grits.
you can eat some of mine if you want to. So we got 3 main, or I would say just 3 genes of corn. Now on corn's different than other crops. On corn, we're actually eating the seed. Most things we don't actually eat the seeds. On corn, we're eating the seeds. So we have 3 kernel types or 3 gene types, and that's what we're going to talk about. And then we got some combinations where you can have multiple gene types.
You get complicated on me now.
That's right. Now, all these are non-GMO. We're not talking about nothing GMO here before anybody gets upset or worried about it. And like I always tell people, ain't nobody ever accidentally bought some GMO corn.
If you
And I
did,
can
you
tell
knowed it. You knowed it.
You note it because in our corn supplier catalogs, you can see some of those prices for the GMO versions of some of these, and it'll make you reach for your pocketbook, hold on to it.
Yep.
They are extremely, extremely expensive. You would know if you had bought some
Right there.
and cleaned it up, hey. So let's go through these 3 main gene types real quick, and then we'll kind of mix things up a little bit. So, your 3 corn genes, you got your SU, your SE, and your SH2. Excuse me. You got your,
You all right?
yeah, I think I'm gonna make it. You got your SU, which is your standard sugary. SE is sugary enhanced, and SH2, which is super sweet. Let's go through some of these real quick. So your SU, why don't you hold that for me?
Why don't I hold that?
Okay, your SU, that is your old-timey varieties. That's your Silver Queen, your Stoll's Evergreen, your Jubilee, and your G90. Those are the 4 we carry that fall into this category. Those are your oldest corn cultivars out there.
Now, of those right there, those would be the ones with the lowest sugar content.
Right. So these have the lowest sugar content. You're looking at about 10 to 15% sugar content at harvest. As we'll see as we go to ones with a higher sugar content, the lower the sugar content, the lower the storage time. So these, you've got a smaller harvest window, definitely got a smaller processing window. They can get starchy in just a few days, and that's even in the fridge. So when these get ready, you got to pick them, you got to be ready to put up your corn or sell it or do something with it.
Well, the way we always do it is I get up early in the morning because it's my job to do the corn pull-up. So I get up early in the morning in the summertime and I find me an old long sleeve shirt and I put it on and I go there. By daylight, I've got the corn pulled. I wheel it down to the house and then we shuck it, cut it off, and by lunchtime we're normally through. We normally do it all in one process.
Yeah. I particularly don't like, and I didn't enjoy it as a kid, I don't like walking through them corn stalks when they all wet like that.
That's the reason I ended up doing most of it.
But I'm
Still
tough.
to this
I'm
day.
tough. See, I don't have to wear no long sleeve shirt. I go through there either shirtless or with a tank top on and go through there and pick my corn. I don't have to wear no long sleeve shirt and pick corn.
How bad are you?
But I do like to wait for them to dry
Yeah.
before I go through it and pick them. So this one, you're not going to have very long that you got to do something with it. The advantages to these are they can germinate in some cooler soils.
So it can be, if you want to get early corn, that'd be the ones that
You want to plant super early, yeah. The less the sugar content, usually the cooler soils you can get it to germinate.
Before we get too much further along and everybody gets thinking this is probably the worst one to plant, that's not where we're headed with this. Now, although these have the least amount of sugar of any of the types that we're going to talk about today, they do offer flavors that the others may not have. So just because they don't have a high sugar content doesn't mean it's a good corn. I would dare say there's more home gardeners out there planting this type of corn than there are any other type of corn.
Oh, you're close.
I said home gardeners.
Yeah, I know. I'll shed some light on that.
A lot of people enjoy that flavor of the Silver Queen or that Jubilee or that G90.
Right.
And I'm being one of them.
Yeah, that kind of old-timey corn flavor.
Right.
A lot of people enjoy. And these varieties are a little more forgiving. They're a little slower maturing, not by much, but say 10 days or so. And so you don't have to be quite as on the ball with your fertilization than you have to do with some of these fast-growing varieties. So we've got our SU, our old-timey varieties. Now, as far as the types we sell the most of on our site, they would fall into this SE category right here. Your peaches and your cream, your ambrosia, incredible, bodacious, candy corn. These seem to be the most popular. Or it may be that the varieties within this category are the most popular. So sugary enhanced, obviously is going to have a little more sugar percentage-wise than SU is, which means it's going to store a little longer. I'd say, you're looking at maybe 5 to 8 days maybe in the fridge before it gets super starchy. So you got a longer harvest window, longer processing window. Germination-wise, you're still going to be able to get it to germinate in 55 to 60 degree soils, just like this right here. The thing about that makes SE corns unique is they have really tender kernels, and that's going to come into play in a minute when we start mixing up, making some combinations with these. But SEs are known for their tenderness. So if you're old and your teeth ain't
what they used to be,
or you got false teeth and stuff like that,
or you might have one of them gal friends that ain't got a lot of teeth.
right? Yeah.
I mean, some of them have those.
Right.
I mean, if she ain't got many teeth, you maybe want to look at growing some of these type corns.
Yeah, because she can just kind of gnaw on it.
Yeah,
and
it's tender.
She'll be all right. It's more tender. So the advantages to the SE there with the tenderness. Now let's talk about the SH2. Now, SU standard, SE sugar enhanced. Do you know why it's the acronym SH is used? What that stands for?
I do not.
Okay, so SH is short for shrunken.
Shrunken.
And if you ever planted any of these, you'll notice that the kernels are shrunken.
Oh, a good bit smaller, might you say?
A good bit smaller and kind of shrunken in. They kind of look funny. And when you're planting these with something like our garden seeder, you're going to use a much different plate for these than you are these, because this Silver Queen seed a lot bigger than this seed down here. So you have to take that into account. You can't. That's why we say there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all seed plate. So these shrunken kernels here, very high sugar levels. Really sweet corn, and they're also slow to convert sugar to the starch.
Therefore, they have a longer shelf life.
Longer harvesting window, longer processing window. That's why if you're growing corn to sell at market, a lot of people like these. They don't sell it all. Right after they pick it, they still got a few more days they can sell the rest of it.
Yep.
The one thing about these, you're going to need a little warmer soil for germination. You'll need 60 degrees. You're not going to get a good stand if your soil temps are still around 55 degrees.
Yep.
So,
give me some examples of that type.
So we've got Obsession.
Which is probably the most popular one.
Obsession, if you go to your local supermarket and you buy fresh ears of bicolor corn, there's a 70, at least in the South, there's a 75% chance that it is Obsession.
And you can't buy that in your local supermarket, folks.
No, not that right there. If you go buy bicolor ears of fresh corn, 75% chance it is Obsession. Now, it would be the GMO Obsession, which is called Obsession 2. We have the non-GMO version, obviously. So Obsession is a bicolor, super sweet. We've got Passion, which is a white one, I believe. Devotion, which is yellow. And Glacial, which is that one we just added.
It's a white one.
It's just a super white one.
Glacial.
Glacial. All right, so those are the 3 basic gene types. Now, what happens if we shuffle it up a little bit?
Can I set this down or I need to hold it up?
You can set it down just a second. So let me do one more.
I hope we don't never run out of them cards.
I do too. I'd be in a mess. I wouldn't be able to tell folks what I was trying to say.
Or if we ever tied your hands down, you couldn't talk.
Yeah, that's another problem I worry about.
If you ever want to get Travis shut up, just tie his hands up. He can't move his hands, he can't talk.
That's right. I get sweating too, I'm bad. All right, now let's talk about what happens if we shuffle the deck a little bit. So put your card back up there.
I got to put this one back up
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So 2.
Can I eat cornbread while I do
You
this?
can.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 of the newer developments out there, and I say newer probably in the last 10 to 15 years, are these varieties that combine any one of these 3 corn genes out there.
I'd call that a combination.
Combination, that's right. So let's start off with our synergistic, which is SYN is the acronym used for that. And if you go on our website, you click on our sweet corn page, there's a little filter button there, and you can filter by any of these 5 types there and get just one you want. You can even filter by color. If you want a yellow synergistic, you can filter by that and it'll show you exactly which variety you want to
If
plant.
you got a good 30 minutes of your life you need to waste, you can go to our website and study the different types of corn. And that way next time you at the coffee shop and some of them old timers want to get into a conversation about corn,
You school them.
yeah, you have educated yourself.
That's right. So we got the synergistic, and synergistic varieties contain all 3 of these kernel types here,
Mixed on one cob.
mixed on one cob. So they contain SU, SE, and SH2. So you get the old-timey flavor, you get the tenderness of the SE, and you get that really, really sweet flavor with the SH2.
So if you got that old gal that ain't got many teeth,
Right.
you can give her a cob of that and she can get a few kernels off
She
of it.
can work her way through it,
Yeah,
eventually.
because it's going to have a few tender kernels. I had my mind went there somewhere.
So
I'm sitting there gnawing on that corn right now. Yeah.
these
She's every third one she's getting.
So these synergistic ones are sweet, creamy, and tender. You'll have good storage life with these because you got some of those sweeter kernels in there. These you can get to germinate in fairly cool soil temps, 55 to 60, because you have some of these in there. And I experienced that last year. The first one I planted was this one. No problem getting it germinated late March for us. Lots of great ones here. You got Honey Select, which is super popular. Temptress is a quad sweet I grew last year, a good one. Primus, I grew that in the fall. Providence, a lot of the market farmers like that one. Serendipity is another one a lot of the market farmers like. And then the Avalon is that white one I grew.
What about Honey Select?
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Oh, did
the
you?
first one, yeah.
I was, okay.
You remember that time you ate a whole bowl of that
I
one on the
did.
show? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the last one here, which is the kind of newest type to come along, is this SHA, which stands for Augmented Super Sweet. Now, people hear that word and they're going to be wanting to scream GMO on us.
No
but
GMOs there, folks.
no GMOs. So this is just an improved version of the Super Sweets. So the Super Sweets are known for having that kernel that kind of just juicy kernel kind of pops when you bite into it. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Whereas the SCs are more of a tender kernel. Now these are combining just the SE and the SH2. So you're getting the sweetness from the SH2 or the super sweet and getting the tenderness from the SE. So your old gal with no teeth,
Right.
she'd be good on this one too.
Right.
So really sweet, really tender. Now these, because they're mostly super sweets in these, you're going to want to wait to 60 degrees to get these germinated. So for the SHA, SH2, let your soil get to 60 degrees before you try to plant these. Really good storage on these. We've got 3 varieties of these. One not on the site yet, but we've got Yellowstone, which is the yellow one. That's the one I'm growing. Eden, and then we got Nirvana.
So hold that back up for a minute. Let me talk about something a minute. We have a lot of people sending us emails, questions, calls about cross-pollination. Because we've got you all excited here and you want to try several of these different varieties of corn and these different types here. So we've had people say, well, will Silver Queen and Silver Queen cross-pollinate? I'm going to give you a simple solution how to go about all this and win in this situation here and not have to worry about a lot of cross-pollination. So you want to grow 3 of these different types here in your garden. What you should do is plant one type, and then wait 2 to 3 weeks, plant another type, wait 3 to 4 weeks or some in there, and plant you another type. What you're going to do is you're going to have corn coming off of the different types that you can grow and see which one you like the best, and you ain't got to worry about them crossing up. So that's a good way to do it, succession planting.
Right. Yeah, I did a little bit of that last year.
And that takes all the guesswork out of you about worrying about your cross. For some reason, other people get all upset about cross-pollination. Now, if you do get a little cross-pollination, it ain't gonna hurt none. It's gonna be okay. I mean, you still got good corn there to eat, but I mean, if you want it true to variety, that is a good solution to do and keep you in good fresh corn for weeks going in.
Yeah, stagger it by a couple weeks. Now, if you do insist on growing 2 different varieties at the same time, just can't help it. You need it. One of those varieties needs to be a synergistic here. Okay, if you mix either of these 3 right here, if you plant a SU next to a SE, you're gonna get cross-pollination. You're gonna get a combination of these 2. Same thing with the SH2. Same thing right here. You don't want to grow this next to any of these because it's going to throw off your kernel ratio of super sweet.
And we don't want kernel ratio thrown off.
Same thing with the color. You plant a yellow corn with a white corn, you're going to end up with bicolor ears, all that. Now the synergistic, because it already has all 3 kernel types, that's the one that doesn't require isolation for it to stay true to variety. So if you really just couldn't do without it, pick you one of these others and then grow the synergistic at the same time. Otherwise, just stagger them by a couple weeks.
There you go.
All right.
We like to make gardening simple.
So if you have any more questions about sweet corn varieties, let us know in the comments below and we'll be glad to try to answer them for you. I have got some buddies of mine growing several of these varieties because I can't grow them all, but several of these new varieties. So when they do get ready, assuming they have a good grow out, we'll be able to try a lot of these different corn varieties on the show.
Let's get into some questions. What say you?
Let's go for it.
All right, first one's from Pepper Place Acres. It says, great show, guys. In a future episode, could you all discuss what can be grown on the Hortonova netting? I am planning to use it with my beans and cowpeas, but wonder if it would support a heavier fruit like tomatoes, winter squash, or tomatales.
Tomatillos.
Tomatales.
So here's
You say tomatilla, I say tomatale.
Here's our Hortonova netting here. We have this in 4 different sizes. This is the 48 by 50. So 48 inches tall, 4 foot tall, 50 foot long. And it comes wrapped up like this. Now, a funny little side story here. I don't see as many of the customer service emails nowadays because we have staff that reads those. But when I when I used to see a lot of those, we would have people, they would get their tracking notification and it would tell them what size box was used to ship their order. And they would order one of these and they would see that the box, it would say on there that the box was, was about 6 by 4 by 6 by 10. Not a very big box that this thing has to go in. But in their minds, they ordered 4 foot tall times 50 foot long of this stuff. But they got a little bitty box, and it just confused them. And it's like buying a roll of paper towels or tin foil. It's wrapped up nicely in here and it folds out really easily. So don't be alarmed if your box ain't as big as you think it should be. Back to the question here. I like using this stuff on everything up to as heavy as a big slicing cucumber. Once you get bigger than a slicing cucumber, you need to go with like a cattle panel or something stronger. You can do it with cherry tomatoes. I wouldn't do it with big slicing tomatoes. I tried it with cherry tomatoes last year, worked fine. I really like it for cucumbers, excellent for pole beans. I wouldn't use it for winter squash. I wouldn't use it for big slicing tomatoes. Tomatillos, maybe, because tomatillos don't get quite as big.
Yeah, some of the big gourds would probably be a little too heavy for it.
Yeah. Anything heavier than a big slice of cucumber is probably going to be too heavy. But everything else, this stuff, it's just easy to take down. Easy to put up, easy to take down. Number 2 is from Johnny, and he says, great show with tons of useful info. When I stop fertilizing melons, bloom set or fruit set?
Well, there's 2 different trains of thoughts, or 2 different strategies, you might say, on fertility on watermelons. Let's first go with the granular approach. Say you're using a granular type based fertilizer program. You'd want to put half of your recommended fertility out pre-plant, and then 6 weeks after transplant, somewhere in there, you want to put the rest of it out. So you got 2 applications there. And the key to it is put it out before you get those watermelons on there, so you don't want to stress that plant a lot. Now, the other way of doing it is to spoon feed them. It's what we've been doing for a long time, because we love to use drip tape, and by spoon feeding them is every week or so we're giving them just what they need. If you do that, you can fertilize them pretty much throughout the growing season. And when you get through harvesting the crop, you can actually spur on that plant that you've kept nice and healthy to put on another fruit set. So that's what I do, it's what I recommend. But if that's not your thing and you're doing it old style like we used to do it with granular fertilization, pre-plant in 6 weeks after transplant.
I like that.
But I do recommend, I prefer the other method. But I've done it both ways. All right, so the next one is from Matt Renfro. He says, really enjoyed the show. Thanks for taking time for questions. Ever had any issues with gin trash, weeds, herbicide carryover? There is a lot of it here in North Carolina.
So that compost we get from down the road is made from gin trash. But I've seen several different people post on the Road by Road group, talking to people, several different variations of this stuff. So some of these cotton gins are selling just straight, fresh trash. It's not composted at all.
Well, what they do is they carry it to a location and dump it out there.
Right. Y'all come get it.
Y'all come get it and pay us $10 a ton for it, or a yard or whatever.
And then I've seen a few places, not many, that have what we get, which is certified black gold, really, really good composting stuff, has gotten really hot. And then I've seen some variations in between there. Now, with the stuff we get, I'm not worried really about anything, because I can see when they stick that bucket in there, the steam coming off there, I know it's hot. Another thing is, a lot of these huge multi-million-dollar produce farmers around here are using the same stuff, and they got a lot more to risk than I do in my little backyard garden if there was some bad herbicides in it. So if they feel safe using it, I certainly feel safe using it. And the other thing is, this stuff's come from cotton, and the only really thing, I mean, I don't know about the defoliants they use, but I know the Roundup is not sticking around very long. So there's not a whole lot that they use on cotton that I'm aware that would have a long residual time.
Yeah. Now this compost here, I've talked to the guy that makes it. They actually put a probe in there, and they document the heat in there, and also the turning process and the moisture, which is what you got to do if you're going to turn off some really good compost. So I feel comfortable that they do a good job. I can see the finished product and said it was done well. People out there do have a legitimate concern. If you're getting compost that wasn't cooked off properly, heck yeah, you got some problems. You got some weed seed in there that didn't get burn up. You got some pathogens in there that can probably be problematic. I'm not aware of any herbicides that could carry over through that process that was used on cotton. There are some herbicides out there that could be carried through that process, But they're not used on cotton.
Things are used on hay and fields.
Turf grass,
Right,
things like
yeah.
that, yeah.
But on cotton, most of those things they use are pretty short term.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer to that is make sure you buy your compost from a trusted source that you feel comfortable and know what they're doing. If that's the case, I think you'll be okay. If not, steer away.
That's right. Number 4, for mini farm life, this guy says, my grandpa's challenged him to grow a big watermelon. He ordered Carolina Cross, which is a great big watermelon variety. He wants to know if he trims the small watermelons off the vines, will the couple that are left on the vine grow even bigger? Now, I've seen people do this with pumpkins.
Yeah, I don't see why it won't work with watermelons. If your goal, strictly your goal, is to see how big of a watermelon you can grow, I think that's a decent strategy to have. Now, I'm going to tell you what, this variety right here is a monster. I grew some of them years ago. Travis was a little bitty fella. I say a little bitty fella. I don't know. You was half grown, probably 10 or so.
Big enough.
We grew them out there in the
pick up
garden,
watermelon.
and we couldn't. Me and him together couldn't pick them up and get them out of the field.
You couldn't push it. If you got it in the wheelbarrow, you couldn't push
We
the
couldn't
wheelbarrow.
get some of them. We couldn't even get in the wheelbarrow. We just had to leave them out there to rot. And I really got discouraged with them. I'm going to be honest with you. I said, "What? You used to grow in a watermelon, you can't get it out of the garden." So I ain't grown them since, because my goal is to eat a watermelon. I'm not in no bragging rights about growing a big
I
watermelon.
guess you sit out there and eat it.
I guess so. But now, if that's your goal, you pick the right one, baby it along, yeah, and prune some of those off. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. Get you some help.
Get you some help. Yep.
Might need, it won't you.
I don't know how big the ones
We didn't
mean.
have a front end loader at the time, but that's probably the best way to get it out. Is,
I don't know how big the ones mean you growed was, but they was monsters, wasn't they?
yeah, they was big ones. What we got? One left there?
Yeah,
Two left.
Where we at? I got carried away on them giant watermelons.
Number 5.
Number 5 is from Olivia Sanders, and she says, my question is on irrigation system on the emitters. How many gallons would the emitters allow per hour if your flow rate is 10 gallons a minute, 3 gallons an hour, 3 gallons per minute per hour with a question mark?
I think you just might have confused things.
I think I made, let me reread that.
I got
If
it.
your flow rate is 10 gallons a minute, 3 gallons per emitters per hour, take it and run with it.
Okay, so I don't have the piece here in front of me, but our little pressure regulator we use for our drip kits is a 12 psi regulator, and it works for any flow rate between 0.5 and 8 gallons a minute. If your flow rate is above 8 gallons a minute, then you got to go with a beefier pressure regulator, or put your ball valve on your spigot.
Cut it down a little
just
bit.
cut it down a little bit. But our setup, our pressure regulator we make, will not take anything over 8 gallons a minute. If you get higher than that, it just basically acts like it's not even there. Now, Sininger, the brand we carry, does make a high flow one. It almost looks just like the one we got. You can find it online pretty easily. I think the ball valve, just cutting it back a little bit, is an easy solution. So, you need to be between 0.5 and 8 gallons a minute on your flow rate, okay? Not
And
your
that's
pressure.
easy to check with a 5-gallon bucket and a watch.
Yeah, that's your flow rate. Now, your pressure regulator is going to knock it down to 12 psi, so you're going to be good there. And then as far as the output, on our tape, it is 0.4 gallons a minute per 100 feet.
Of tape.
Right. Now, you got emitters located every 12 feet, or excuse me, every 12 inches. So if you really got to know, and some people got to know what each individual emitter is outputting, it is putting out 0.004 gallons per minute.
Okay. And that information is on your drip tape as well as on the instructions on there.
A lot of people wonder when they get drip or they want to use it, like, how long do I run it? And it has a lot to do with soil type, how much rain you get. I promise you, don't worry about that.
You'll figure that out.
Yeah, you'll learn real quick.
There's no easy answer. We get these kind of questions all the time that's subjective. Too many variables in life to give you a straight answer. You'll figure it out.
You can see where the dirt is wet around a little ring around that plant where that emitter
and you
is.
say that's enough.
You can walk out there and you say, I believe I'll turn her off.
That's
now.
right. And that's when you turn her off.
Okay. Last one here is from Kentucky Wife Life. I thought that was Kentucky Wildlife at first. Wife Life got a firecracker sunflower seed from us, and she likes the wish list option and wants to know what we think about that yellow watermelon variety we carry.
Well, I think a lot of it. So I'm gonna tell you this one right here that I'm gonna plant some of this year, which is a baby doll variety, which is a seeded one, that Travis's granddaddy grew last year. And we went on the show. If you want to go back and look at that, man, it was off the chain with flavor.
You go back in the row by row archives. I think the thumbnail has a picture of this watermelon on it. We eat a whole one on the show.
It's probably the sweetest watermelon I've ever eaten. Now these are personal size, which means they're smaller.
Icebox.
Icebox you can put in your refrigerator. It's not a great old big giant watermelon, but it's a good one. I'm gonna grow it, and I do think a lot of them. I've grown red watermelons, I've grown orange watermelons, I've grown yellow watermelons, but I'm gonna tell you, flavor-wise, that was gonna be hard to beat right now.
There's a fella on, I think it's Amazon somewhere, there's somebody online selling blue watermelons.
I ain't never grown a blue watermelon.
There ain't no such thing, but he's, I think he sells it.
He photoshopped.
Anyway, what's interesting about this baby doll, now Gene Paul's a pretty good farmer, but he's never touted himself as being a watermelon expert, but he did a good job.
He did.
Growing those. And so I would say that it's a pretty forgiving, easy to grow variety if you're new to growing watermelons.
Right. Germination rate 92%, 70 days to maturity.
Gonna be a fast one.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to grow. I'm gonna grow it this year for sure.
Some people said that it's a little seedy for their taste, and we hope to be able to get the seedless version in. I didn't think it had that many more seeds on
it.
it.
It don't bother me to spit a few seeds out.
It was a good one though.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. And if you got
that Jimmy Red.
Dang, you done eat all that cornbread.
Just about.
Get some Jimmy Red if you ain't never tried that. Grow some of that. Good.
Everybody got corn on the mind, and y'all, I can promise y'all, this weather's going to straighten up. We're going to be able to get out in the garden. Now, it may not be as soon as we want to, but we're going to be able to get out there. Go ahead and get your stuff ordered, and talk to your wife about it. Get all situated, and be thinking about it at night. What you need to do when. Have all your supplies ready to go. And first good, pretty Saturday we have. Get out there and get a punch.
Yeah, don't be waiting on the moon.
Yep.
When you get that first good Saturday, get out there and get her done.
Yep.
All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the show, and if you did, give us a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy tonight's show, check out these other two right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.
Take care.